Hey everybody, this is the syllabus tour for History 131 summer online class. My cat is apparently very excited about the syllabus, so if you hear a little rumbly sound, he's sitting right next to me purring because he's also very excited about History 131 apparently. Alright, so this is your syllabus. It's in the Welcome to History 131 tab on Blackboard. It's also in the Syllabus tab on Blackboard, so multiple places where you can find it. We're going to go through the basic stuff here. This is American History 1, and it does not require any sort of prerequisite. The last day to drop the course without a grade penalty, so you would get a WD. The last day to do that is July 2nd. I'm not. Sorry, he's really excited. Okay, so faculty information, that's me, Amanda Jewett-Zakanis. Zakanis is hard to pronounce. My dad still can't pronounce it. I've been married for almost 6 years now. But Miss Z is fine. Amanda is fine. I'm a very casual person. I know that some folks don't feel comfortable calling an instructor by their first name. So Miss Z, if you can't get Zakanis, that's totally okay. I'm available by appointment for office hours. I don't have an office, so I don't have dedicated office hours because when I need to meet with a student, I have to find a place to do it. I have done that, and I'm more than happy to do that again this semester, but I just need the heads up. That's why it's got the email address there and by appointment under office hours. So if you do need to meet with me, send me an email, and we will find a place to meet either on or near campus, and we can get together and talk about whatever your questions or concerns are. In the meantime, you can also get up with me via email just for general stuff. If you don't feel like you need a meeting but you still have some questions, email is a great thing for that. I check my email very regularly. I respond within 24 hours, usually less, because I check my email once in the morning and once in the evening usually. I have 2 small children. So that is why it says if you send me an email late at night, I will most likely not reply until the next morning, because my son in particular, he's 2 years old, he gets up very early. And I am not great early in the morning, but I have to be up now early in the morning because of my kids. So I tend to check email usually for the last time around 6 p.m. because I tend to go to bed around 9 p.m. like an old lady, because I tend to be up with my kid at 5:30 a.m. So that is why. But again, within 24 hours, I will get back to you, if not sooner. This is American History 1, so we are going from pre-contact, prehistory, like pre-American history, through to the Civil War era. Topics include the migrations to the Americas. We talk a little bit about that land bridge theory, the colonial and revolutionary periods, the development of the Republic, and the Civil War. And we are 100% online, obviously. Everything is on Blackboard. Each week has its own content folder on Blackboard and is clearly labeled week 1, week 2. Again, that's all under the assignments tab on the left in Blackboard. And when we get to that Blackboard tour video, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So in the assignments folder, you've got everything is laid out week by week. In each of those week folders, you have exactly what is happening that week. You've got lecture videos, you've got the notes for the lecture, you've got the outline for the lecture, and I meant to close my email. See, very casual. Just going to close this right quick. All right. So, weeks are all laid out. We've got, like I said, lecture videos are in there. The lecture notes, I provide those as well. The lecture outline. We'll get to all of this again when we get to the Blackboard tour. I'll show you each of those documents and sort of how they look and how they might help you. And then, of course, you'll have discussion boards. Some weeks you'll have an exam. Some weeks you'll have a paper due. All of that is in under the assignments folders, all those week 1, week 2 in the assignments tab. Upon successful completion, you will be able to do all kinds of cool stuff, like write argument-driven evidence-based essays. So you'll use the correct MLA formatting for in-text citations and works cited pages. You'll read, think, and write historically using primary source documents. You'll practice critical thinking. One of the most important things that you can get from a humanities class is critical thinking. It's being able to question what you're told. It's being able to look at multiple arguments and challenge the arguments you're given. It's a very important life skill. We're going to talk about change, continuity, and contingency, the 3 C's as I like to call them. And change, of course, things aren't the same, they change. Continuity is the opposite, things kind of stay the same, and there are several historical moments that have great continuity in them as well as great change. Contingency is one of my favorite things in history. It's these little moments of unpredictability where something could have gone one way and goes a totally different way. And we'll have several examples of that in the class as we go on. And you'll do all kinds of other stuff too, and you can read and are an adult, so I'm not going to read every single one of those for you. Let's skip down to the books. You have 2 books for this class. Give Me Liberty is the textbook, Volume 1, 5th edition, 5th edition. And it's got an orange border around the outside. For Give Me Liberty, Voices of Freedom, Volume 1, also 5th edition. That one is red and white. That's your document reader. That's got all the primary documents. Primary documents are things written by people who were alive at the time. So of the 2 books, if for financial reasons you have to prioritize when you're buying books, of the 2 books, Voices of Freedom is the more important book to purchase first. So I would get that one if I were you, if you needed to get one before the other one. We don't use e-text in here, don't worry about that. So how do we explain the rise of the early American Republic and its subsequent division? We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. Colonization, the founding of the Republic, the weak early years of the United States, the actions, reactions, and agency of natives, Africans, the Europeans. So we're going to talk about all of these different people. What were they doing? What were the regular folks like you and me doing? We hear about George Washington and Thomas Jefferson all the darn time, and I'm going to mention those guys some. But what were regular folks doing? That's called social history. We're going to talk about what regular folks were up to as well. We're going to answer some important questions like, what does freedom mean? What does mainstream history leave out or ignore during this era? And what is the proper relationship between individuals and government? These are questions that are still debated today. So we're going to do all kinds of stuff. We're going to go through the end of the Civil War all the way to Reconstruction. So we've got hundreds of years to cover. And I know you're like, all right, Amanda, I don't care about that. How are you going to grade me on stuff? Well, let's talk about that. Everything's going to be available in Blackboard for you. I'm very, if I don't mind saying so myself, pretty up to date on grading and getting that stuff in there for you. I was a student I was the Hermione Granger in my class. I always raised my hand. I always wanted to know what my grade was, like almost immediately. So I kind of, as a teacher, have turned that into, I want to give grades as quickly as possible, let students know where they are, keep Blackboard very up to date, that kind of thing. So how you are graded, 20%. Big number, 20% of your grade is participation. You will be participating through discussion boards. Pretty much each week there is a discussion board. Even if you have an exam, the weeks that you have exams during the summer semester, we've also got a shorter discussion board. So it's not the same length because, you've also got an exam, but you do still have to do that participation assignment. They're kind of like mini papers, and there's a discussion board FAQ in the Welcome tab, which we'll talk about when we get to the Blackboard tour. And that kind of tells you how to prioritize, content, source use, that kind of thing. There's also a video in the first week on how to cite your sources with in-text citations when you do discussion boards, and then you'll comment on other students' discussion boards as well. So this takes the place of basically an in-class discussion where we're all talking about sources and major events and all kinds of stuff together. That is what the discussion boards are for. 40% of your grade is exams. You'll have 3 exams, all online, obviously. Multiple choice, true, false. 2 of the exams will be identification questions as well as multiple choice and true, false. More on that later. They're going to be through Blackboard. You're going to have them weeks 4, 7, and 10. So you don't have to jump right into having an exam. There's a little bit of a breather there before you have your first exam. I've got a first exam FAQ video. I've got study guides for each exam. I've got an identification example answer for you as well. So never fear, you will know what you're getting into before you get into it. And exam 1 only counts for 10%. Exams 2 and 3 are each worth 15%. I do that for a couple of reasons. Some of you have never taken a test with me before. Some of you have never taken an identification style exam before. So you might be nervous, you might have some concerns, you might really not know what you're getting into, you might not have prepared the way maybe that you should have. So exam 1 counts for a little bit less. So once you've had that first exam and you've gotten feedback from me on that identification and we've talked about it a little bit, then we move into the exams counting a little bit more, and they each count 15% with exams 2 and 3. So that is my reasoning behind that. The other 40% of your grade is papers. You'll write 2 papers in here, and they'll be based on course readings, and they'll address major themes in the course. Each paper is worth 20%. That is a whopper. So you'll want to really pay attention to what you're writing, what the question is, whether or not you're fully answering the prompt, the sources you're using, all that good stuff. Now, one of the things I'll say is that the discussion boards are really good training for writing that bigger paper because, like I said, the discussion boards are like mini papers. So you're going to be getting detailed feedback from me on those discussion boards, and you can use that feedback to make a stronger paper. The papers are going to be due on weeks 3 and 8. So again, we're starting here with week 1. See a little bit of breather before we get to that first paper. Papers are submitted on Blackboard and they run through Safe Assign to check for plagiarism. Please don't plagiarize. It is really frustrating for me when students do it because you are all smart, capable people. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. You're cheating yourselves and me by not doing the work and not, showing yourself and me what you can do and what you're capable of, because you are all smart people. Plus, you're going to get in trouble. You'll get a 0 on the assignment, and you will be, I will fill out paperwork alerting the administration of your cheating. So please, 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 please don't do that. Late work policy. Discussion boards determine attendance and participation. Late assignments will not be accepted without a documented excuse. A doctor's note, a death in the family, maybe a grandparent has passed away and you have an obituary or a pamphlet from the funeral. Maybe someone was in the hospital or your kid had a fever, you had to take it to the doctor late at, or something like that. Documentation is possible for all of these things. If you give me documentation for the issue, I will extend the deadline for you because that is reasonable. Papers must be turned in by the deadline. Late submissions of papers are deducted 3 points for each day. That is day, not class day, that they are late. Okay? That's a lot. But they are accepted. You lose points. Once it's past 2 weeks, you don't get any of that work graded. I don't accept it after that. Now, of course, if there's an extenuating circumstance, then we can talk about that, but you'll need to contact me and let me know what's going on. Tests can be made up with a documented excuse, but late test submissions are not possible otherwise. The test closes at the deadline, so you cannot, without a documented excuse, take a test late. Writing requirements. We're going to write a lot, obviously. You may have figured that out by now with the syllabus we've been talking about here. But you have to cite your work all the time. All the time. Got to cite that work. So never use outside sources on your papers. Like, don't use Wikipedia, don't use history.com. Everything that is given to you in this class can be used on the papers, and that's all you need. Lecture, the books, documents that are on Blackboard, all that stuff. That's all you need, okay? So you're going to use parenthetical citations. NC State's library has a citation builder. There's the link. You can click on it, open it up. You can plug in, if it's a book, you can plug in all the publication information. It'll spit out the citation and tell you exactly how to cite it in MLA. And we have, I think, 1 extra credit opportunity. I like to do an extra credit discussion board toward the end of the semester. More on that later. Grades are on a 10-point scale here. We don't do A pluses or A minuses, which I particularly like that because that means an A is a 4 on your GPA, whether it's a 90 or a 98. So I'm a fan of that. So that's the grade scale. The Grade Center in Blackboard is basically going to be your home base for knowing what's going on with your grade in the class. Each assignment has explicit instructions letting you know what's expected of you. The primary focus will be quality of content. Did you answer the question? You've heard me say that a couple times already. Did you support your answer or argument with the proper evidence from class readings? Class readings. Formatting and mechanics will play a smaller but still important role in my assessment of your writing. So you'll need to see each assignment for the specific directions. And of course, contact me with any questions. Tests and papers will be returned to you within 2 weeks, unless of course something, people have lives and emergencies. I might have one. I hope I don't. Of course, I'll send out an email via the announcements in Blackboard letting you know what's happening if anything is going to be delayed. But hopefully everything will go smoothly, and I will return all tests and papers within 2 weeks. Discussion boards you'll get back within 1 week. That way you can use the feedback when you write the next discussion board. So feedback on the discussion boards will pare down as the semester goes on and you become more familiar with expectations. When reviewing grades in the My Grades section, you can click on any underlined hyperlinked grade to see more details about the grade. So when I provide feedback for assignments, you'll find them in this area. Papers, I will also highlight and put comments directly on the paper submission in Blackboard. Things you need to know. We're going to move fast. I already said that. It's a summer class, so contact me if you're not sure about the pace. It's almost a double pace, okay, because we're doing an 18-week class in a little less than 10 weeks. So just be aware of that. I believe, if you guys signed up for this, you probably have an idea of what you're getting into. If you're not sure or if you have questions, please, please, please contact me and we will talk it through. Check your email regularly, just like I check my email regularly, right? My primary way of getting in touch with you is going to be sending out emails. I'll be sending Blackboard announcements out as emails. You'll get at least a couple a week reminding you of what we're doing that week and then when things are going to be due. So if you have an issue taking an exam, for example, or submitting a paper, contact me. If I have an issue on my end, I get an exam and only 3 questions are answered, obviously maybe it freaked out. Blackboard can have problems sometimes and it didn't take all of your answers. Then you've got like a 6 or a 9 on an exam. You don't want that, right? So I'll probably email you and say, hey, was this intentional? Or did you, have a problem while you were taking the test? So if you're not checking your email, you're not going to get that information from me where we can fix what happened. Okay. We're going to do a lot in here at a pretty quick pace. We've got discussion boards, lecture videos, documents, textbook, all kinds of stuff. So you're going to have to be sure that you're doing work outside of the class as well. We're using Blackboard, that. Lecture outlines are on Blackboard for you to fill out as you watch the lecture. These outlines will assist your note-taking. Lecture notes, the script I use to lecture from, is also available on Blackboard for your use. So you should be in attendance each week, watching these lecture videos, doing the assignments, all of that. This one's important. Use respectful language to refer to groups, individuals, and fellow students. Comments and feedback given to fellow students should be constructive. Harassment or inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated. We are dealing with a lot of difficult topics. We're talking about slavery. We're talking about the near genocide of Native American peoples. We're talking about, women being severely beaten by husbands, and that's one of the only ways they can get divorced in the 19th century. We're talking about, all kinds of war, all kinds of really, really rough stuff. So you're going to want to be respectful when you talk about, these groups, these folks, maybe a classmate who's got a similar present day experience that they want to share to what's going on. We're going to be respectful because discussion is far more productive when everyone is given an equal voice and we're being respectful of each other while we all talk about this stuff. Okay? Again, don't plagiarize, don't cheat. I have a handout on Blackboard in the Welcome tab that says, is this plagiarism? check that out if you're not exactly sure. And then if you still have questions, please contact me, okay? Again, we can meet in person if you want. Send me an email if you want. We could do a Skype or a Google Hangout if you don't live near campus but you still want to do like some sort of face-to-face meeting, we can do that, okay? Attendance. This is a rough one because we're a summer class. So again, quick pace, all right? Your discussion boards serve as your attendance or whatever weekly assignment. If it's a paper instead of a discussion board that week, if you don't turn the paper in, you're absent for that week, okay? So you must enter the class by May 22nd. Once you take the enrollment verification quiz on Blackboard, you are officially entered into the class, not before that. Please take it by May 22nd so that I can keep you in the class. You will be dropped if you don't take the enrollment verification quiz and enroll yourself in the class by May 22nd. Okay? So again, weekly attendance is important. That's those discussion boards. That's, taking an exam, turning in a paper, all that kind of stuff. If you miss more than 1 week, because again, shortened class, you'll be dropped, right? So everybody has life. Life happens to all of us. Please contact me and let me know if something's going on with you. If you know you're going to be absent or if you have a problem, we can work out extending a deadline or something like that and maybe make things work, okay? If you are dropped for attendance and you want to get back in the class, we can talk about reinstatement, all right? And this is activities and all that kind of stuff. So, you got to be in class, you got to have a GPA of a certain percentage, 2.0, all that kind of thing. Jolt can help you if you have a problem submitting a test or a paper or a discussion board. If you have a Blackboard problem, you email Jolt at this email address here and you copy me so that way I can see that you're dealing with the issue as well and that you've had a problem. Okay? So again, you hit that test submit button and it backs you out by accident. Uh-oh, your test is all gone. And it submitted it, but it didn't answer the questions. Uh-oh. You want to fix that. So email Jolt and copy me. Okay? Your power goes out. And then you can't access the discussion board. Get on your phone. You can send an email with a cell signal. Email me and let me know. Okay? If Blackboard isn't working on your computer, email Jolt, copy me. Communication is very important, okay? This is how we're going to know what's going on. Religious or solemn observance. Please let me know 2 weeks prior if you need this. You've got to fill out the form. I'll sign it. Very respectful of all people's religious beliefs, rituals, and practices. So if you have an event or some sort of religious observance that meets this criteria, please get up with me at least 2 weeks in advance and we will take care of that. We have a policy of faculty first here for student concerns. If you have an issue, a communication issue, or you've got a complaint, you don't like what I'm doing or something, or I've offended you in some way, please contact me and let me know. We're all adults, right? Just like if you say something that might be insensitive to a student or to me or whatever, or to the history and integrity of the course, I will privately contact you and say, hey, when you said this, I'm sure you didn't mean this, but maybe next time let's work on how we phrase that kind of thing. It's a two-way street. If I've done something that you are uncomfortable with or that you disagree with or you have an issue with something that I'm teaching, please email me and let me know. I am so more than happy to talk to you about any issue you have, to figure it out, resolve it together, because that's what adults do, okay? If, however, you feel the problem is too large and you cannot talk to me, the next step is to contact the department chair. The information for that is here, okay? So hopefully we won't have that problem. I have yet to have that problem, knock on wood. Hopefully I won't. Again, if you have a problem with me, please do your best to contact me first, okay? Because, that's how we can figure things out. We can move forward, all that kind of stuff. And I have had, students say, well, when you said this about, this group or whatever, I felt maybe, did you mean this? And I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry if it came out that way, I didn't mean it that way. I send emails a lot. This is an online class. Tone is not really conveyed well via text, right? So you may read an email from me and take it in a totally different tone than what I meant. Contact me. Let me know what's going on. We will resolve it, okay? I'm a human being just like you. Human beings make mistakes, and until someone, kindly points that mistake out to us, we can't fix it. So again, let's all be adults and let's all communicate. So that, my friends, is the syllabus. I know that's a bit long, but lots of details there to go over. Please also check out the Blackboard Tour video. And be sure to submit your first Introduce Yourself discussion board by this Sunday at 11:59